I think it's important that we share, that we communicate, that we are open, and that we grow together to achieve.
Because we are the voice of what wellness is about, and it's up to us to spread the message.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon to those watching in Asia. I'm very proud to introduce this session, the last day of Professional Beauty's World Spa and Wellness Convention. We've had and are having 70 speakers, and what we try to do is cut to the chase, as we say in the UK. We've got the speakers who are running spas or actively involved in our spa and wellness industry, the doers, and hopefully extracting some genuine inspiration and practical advice. I want to say particular thank you to Jean-Guy de Gabriac of the World Wellness Weekend, who's put together much of the program and this one. And I'll kick off this session, reopening strategies from an Asian point of view, and introduce our speakers in no particular order. Jeanette Tambaku, who's the founder of Jari Jari Spa and the president of the Malaysian Spa Association. Edward Wong, who's the president of the Singapore Spa and Wellness Association. Ingo Schweder, founder of GoCo Hospitality, based at the moment in Thailand. Neil Orve, founder of Sense of Touch, Hong Kong, and a great trainer. And last but by no means least, our gold sponsor for this session, Mr. Sami Gariani of Gariani. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll go to our co-host, Jean-Guy, will be chairing much of this session, but he's allowed me to ask the first question. So I'm asking Jeanette first, what are the 3 key measures that you are implementing in your post-COVID SOPs to make your clients feel as safe as possible? Good morning.
Yes, good morning, everybody in UK and in Europe, and good afternoon again to everybody in Asia. Thank you for inviting me in this forum. Okay, first of all, the 3 key measures that we are looking at is, of course, the sanitation and the hygiene. And of course, we will need to conduct a thorough sanitation of the outlet and other common facilities, right? In accordance with the safety and health guidelines. So for example, we should have a sanitation station, mainly at the entrance of our spa outlets and in different areas with some hand sanitizers, dispensers, or a place for customers to even leave their shoes and change into new disposable ones upon arrival. And of course, we can also probably offer them a kit with hand sanitizer, facial mask, and health and safety awareness card to our customer upon arrival. And then at the same time, I think it's also important for us to have a checklist and having our staff to routinely disinfect the list of items and equipments in our spa throughout the day. And also, besides the routinely sanitizing, we can have our employees to provide with all the PPE equipment, such as the face shield, face mask, or disposable glove, or even disposable aprons. And I think the third one is, of course, the scheduled appointment by cross-booking treatments rooms. For example, if a customer had a treatment in treatment room 1, then the next treatment should probably be done in the next treatment room so that we can actually clean and disinfect and freshen up before using back the treatment room 1. So basically, we are trying to avoid back-to-back treatment in the same room. Yeah.
No, good idea. Neil, what's your take on this?
So hello everybody, and Mark, Jean-Guy, thank you for asking me to join. So I'm sitting in Hong Kong, and I think it's fair to say Hong Kong was one of the earliest places after China to get the COVID. So it was exploding here in February, and I had to close one of my locations in February. Fortunately, the landlord supported that decision. But what we started doing very quickly were taking temperature checks, asking clients to self-declare if they've been traveling, to make it mandatory to wear a mask in all public areas way before the government did, way before. And that was quite contentious. There was a very, very big split in Hong Kong society where the local Hong Kongers were absolutely wearing masks and the expats were not wearing masks. It was getting quite ugly in some ways. You walk into the supermarket and you would see all the expats without masks on and all the locals wearing masks. And it became a case of respect. Wear a mask, respect your hosts. That's why it's relatively safe here now. So we were very early on that, and we made it mandatory that people had to wear a mask. And given that most of our clients are expats, that was quite contentious. But I think it was the right thing to do. Then communication. I think one of the main things here in terms of making people feel safe, and it's not just your customers, it's your internal customer as well, your staff, is you've got to communicate clearly, because it's not always done clearly by the government. Even the WHO's communication has been rather suspect over the last couple of months. So making it very clear to people that we do sanitize, we do clean, we do take the temperatures of our staff, we do take the temperatures of the clients. Anybody who's having a treatment has made a declaration they haven't traveled in 2 weeks or they've self-quarantined, and letting our clients know that we are doing that. So sending communication. One of the things I've been doing as the owner of the business is doing little video calls, little videos, 1 minute, 90-second video, and video blasting it to all my team, just to let them know that any issues, please contact me. This is what we're doing. Don't worry, you're not going to lose your job. Little things to make them feel safe, not just in terms of medical, physical safety, but emotional safety, financial safety. Yes. So I think when we talk about safe, we shouldn't just be talking about how are we dealing with COVID as an illness or a disease. We should be talking about the mental safety and the emotional safety and the financial safety of our staff as well. So I've been trying to deal with all of those things, but really around communication.
Do you have, Neil, something in writing that, because I was talking to spa and salon owners in the UK, and they feel that some of their clients have been so used to doing something that obviously this is now a reset, but they're very much looking at producing something to point to say, look, is that, do you do that? Or do you think people are naturally, particularly the locals, they're aware and that's not an issue?
No, we do. I think you've got to, hit as many of the senses as you can. So having something that's visual is just as important as giving a verbal, notification as well. So we have shelf talkers, we have visuals in all of the spas, we send by newsletter. So we try to, repeat the message as much as possible, because the more times you say it and the more media you use to say it, the more chance it gets through.
Thank you. Over to you, Jean-Guy.
Thank you. We're going to cover a large number of topics, and we would like to make this session as interactive as possible. So of course, I'm going to encourage the people listening to this, attending this session from the Zoom session that we are on, to use the chat box to comment, add links, ask questions, and in about 30 minutes, we will start taking questions. If anyone is attending this session live on any of the 10 platforms that we have, either on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, wherever you are, please know that you can join this Zoom session and you can benefit also from the conversation that we have with the chat box and with all the many links. So we're going to cover safety measures. We're going also to go into the digitalization of our industry. We're going to cover a point also whether it's safe or recommended to open right away. Many points, so please stay in. Edward, I'd like to turn to you because there's lots of conversation about whether it is safe or not to receive a massage with hands, or should everyone be wearing gloves? What's your take on this in Singapore?
Well, I think as far as I'm concerned, the spread of the virus is mainly through coughing, sneezing, or speaking face to face. If you massage the back of a person, chances of having slivers on the back of a person is unlikely. Moreover, if the client is going to have a shower before that, the back is basically clear. So the problem comes when you're massaging the front of the body. So if the client is wearing a mask and you are wearing a mask and protective gear, when massaging the front, you are protected. Now, if you wear a glove, the glove itself is an issue. As the glove can hold the virus, and it doesn't protect you if you rub your face, because whether you rub your face with your bare hands or with a glove, you still get infected or contacted with the virus. So if you wear glove, the glove has to be disposed of very, very carefully if it is contaminated. So I will view that wearing a pair of gloves is actually a disadvantage rather than advantage. And then massaging with a glove is not comfortable, as we all know. So there are multiple disadvantages. And then also psychologically, when you come with a pair of gloves to massage your client, you know, the fear factor comes in. You know, psychologically, it's not right. So I would rather say take more precaution, wash your hands, make sure the customer take a shower, and that, you know, wash your hands again after the massage, but maybe not wear a pair of gloves. Yeah, this.
Thank you, Edward. Ingo, you are based in Bangkok, Thailand, but you will be sharing lots of information also from a property you own and run in California, Glen Ivy Hot Springs, award-winning Glen Ivy Hot Springs. What's your take on massage with gloves or without in post-COVID? Ingo, you're on mute.
Sorry. The problem is glass is the cross-contamination. So if you're wearing glass and touch your nose, and then to continue to touch other people, there's still a chance that you're passing on the virus. I believe in the sense of touch, Neil, and I'm very much against glove massages. Having said so, the American Council of Therapists actually wants spas to offer this opportunity. I also believe that there's an entire new chapter and an alternative and a less tactile massage coming very much into the forefront. And this is quite frankly represented by our friend Sammy here. Sammy's new wave spa system is fantastic. It's extremely popular. It's actually one of the most popular treatments we have. And I believe that Sammy and others will come up with additional equipment which will facilitate this. But in principle, while the American Spa and Therapy Association supports treatment with gloves, I believe in the sense of touch, and I believe also in equipment which can do this and much more.
Thank you, Ingo. Jeanette, as president of the Malaysian Spa Association, but also as the owner and founder of Jari Jari Spa and Jari Jari Spa Academy, what is your take on massage with or without gloves?
Yeah, for me, I do agree with Ingo to say that the sense of massage, the touch is very important, especially with our spa therapists, right? Because when they do massage, they are able to tell whether a person competes in a particular sports or drive a stick shift or even work at a desk all day. So because they are very good at their field. But then again, because of this current COVID-19 situation, I may have a little bit of different opinion from Edward and Ingo, because I feel that perhaps our therapists may need to use a disposable glove. Reason being is to give them a certain level of protection to both the therapist and the customer. That's how I feel. Yeah.
Thank you. Because there's so many topics we want to cover, I'd like to get back to Neil in Hong Kong about the wow factors, because yes, it is about hygiene, safety, security for guests and for staff, and we could have a session about that, but we've covered this point extensively in the past couple of days, and also ISPA has produced fantastic guidelines. Global Wellness Institute is also providing guidelines on that, thanks to Dr. Mark Cohen. So I'd like to go to the fact that beyond safety, what are the few elements, Neil, that you are preparing to boost the guest experience at your property, sense of touch? And then we'll go back to Edward, Ingo, and Janet. And of course, we'll hear from Sammy about high touch, high tech. Neil?
Well, to be honest, Shongi, I don't think wow is probably the right word. I'm keeping it really simple here. So for those of the people watching this that don't know me, I own day spas. So I'm not part of a large hotel chain or a global chain. It's basically me and a couple of investors that own these spas. And if we go bust, we go bust. It's very to the point. So we're keeping it simple. We reopened on Friday, okay, after being shut for 4 weeks by the government. I think there's questions about the shutting down later on, and the financial implications and ways around that. So I won't discuss that right now. However, since we reopened, we've really kept it simple, because the first thing is, just think about this. You've got 4 weeks without being able to, okay? So we've got a lot of women who needed to wax. So we just focused on what people needed, and we were fully booked for 5 days. Basically 50% of all the business was waxing. So, since we've reopened in the last week, we've been making about a 50% margin, i.e. 50% more than our break even per day, which is fabulous. We don't normally do that. Now that's not going to continue. This is pent up demand. But my point here is we didn't go for a wow factor. We kept it really simple. So our next thing is we're trying to lock people in, because I think one of the outcomes of the current global situation is, and I'm not telling anybody anything they don't know already, we're not having summer vacations this year. We're going to be stuck wherever we are. If you're lucky enough to be somewhere with nice beaches, that's great. But what that means is, for Hong Kong, all of the expat wives who normally disappear for 2 months are going to be here. So I actually think I'm going to have the busiest summer I've ever had. So what we're doing now is we're launching package deals to lock people in for the next couple of months to get better prices over the summer while they're going to be in Hong Kong, because normally half our clients leave over the summer. So Neil, there's no wow factor.
So Neil, you've made a good point that we've covered a lot over the last week, in the sense you don't get the international visitors, but you're really plugging into your domestic visitors, and all those people who would disappear, you're going to go for them. When you reopened, did you adjust your services to demand? Was it just your people answering the phone, or had you rung them beforehand? How did you get to be so busy? Was it just responding to demand, or had you pre-called?
No, but we've been going 18 years. So we're probably the best known day spa brand in Hong Kong. And our clients are 90%, if not 95% residents. So we are not dependent on tourism travel. We're not a hotel spa operator. We're not a resort spa. We're a day spa. So the inquiries were coming in while we were closed. Obviously, we just forwarded all of the spa numbers to the manager, who was picking them up on the mobile, and they had the booking sheets at home. So we had people calling up, even when we were shut, asking if we could open for them to do a secret waxing or something, which of course we couldn't. But many spas weren't. We're too well known to risk that. A lot of the smaller players were literally just opening up and letting people come in the back door and doing treatments for them, totally against the government regulation.
So that was happening quite a lot in Hong Kong.
All the small players were doing it, but for us, it wasn't worth it.
Of course. But how is if you don't mind, how is your occupancy now? Is it still strong, as it tailed off a bit?
Well, we've only been back open 6 days. And
okay.
So I've got 5 days of data. Today's the 6th day. And out of the first 5 days, we've had 5 very good days. I mean, I guess it flies in industry standards, but I don't really focus as much as occupancy as on my margin. I'm more interested to know, am I making money today or not?
No, but you see,
Very
you know, there's a lot of people around the world who I have said to me, will my clients come back? And you've very much answered that in the sense that, yes, there is a huge amount of pent demand for the basics.
Look, Mark, people are desperate to get out and get some semblance of normal life back. And of course, I'm not just talking about spas here. I'm talking about restaurants. I'm talking about going to the cinema. I'm talking about having a drink in a bar. And you know, lockdown, few countries never had a lockdown, but we've still been impacted and many services were shut. So the demand is there. I mean, what I can tell everybody is when you reopen, there will be people who want to come back, but if you're not getting inquiries, to answer your question, Mark, you do need to be reaching out. And we're lucky we didn't need to do that, but we would have been if we didn't have that inquiry incoming.
Thank you. Sammy, you actually made me feel really good the other day. Now, I want to tell people that he was in Dubai and I was in London, so there was, but I rang him up and asking that, whether Sammy would join the panel, and he said, Mark, if you'd rung me 2 weeks before, I think we'd had the worst 2 weeks ever. But I think when I rang you a week or so ago, Sammy, you said you had a huge, one of the best weeks of orders you ever had. So explain that, and what is Gabriac doing, and what advice do you have to Jean-Guy's question?
So thank you, Mark. Thank you, Jean-Guy, for the preparation of this panel and the others. They were really amazing. Unfortunately, I couldn't make all of them. So I think all of you run spas and knows about the industry from one side. I can tell you from the other side, because a lot of people come to us and ask us different questions where we are ourselves surprised. And I think it's important to understand what is the need. Definitely, if you ask me massaging with hands, the answer is yes. I will not go into details. There are so many plus and only less negative points. The second thing is we have hygienic issues that we have to deal with, and new ones, which are, as a manufacturer of spa tables, the issue about the cradle. This area is critical. So we have some solutions. I don't go to that now. We were asked many times also, how is it possible to get treatments without really touching, which doesn't mean that you will substitute the touch treatment. You need both of them. And Ingo mentioned it already. They were ahead of their times, like us a couple of years ago, believing that there is a need for both. The idea was to maximize the experience and to go from the regular spa, which is massage, waxing, facials, to the wellness aspect, bringing technology. I'm not talking about the phones, about the digital technology. I'm talking about technology in sense of sound, in sense of aroma therapy, in sense of light that can work on the skin, on enhancing the generation of the skin in general, and then working with far infrared technology. So there are a lot of things you can do to work to get it from regular spa to the wellness place you want to be, working on PTSD, on sleep disorder, on detox, and now more than ever important, immune system boosting, which is we all know, and Mark Cohen really is a great person to talk to about the heat and the effect of the heat. So we implement this kind of heat in a couple of our products, or other companies as well, and it's beneficial. So we have things that are automated, that are in addition to the high touch. Sometimes it's low touch that can work. And the third point I want to mention is it's operational. That you guys have a room for, let's say, waxing, and another room for facial, another room for pedicure, manicure. No, we've been asked a couple of years ago, and we worked on with very famous brands to create the one that you can do all services. And now again, COVID showed us it's more than the time to have this product in order not to move the guests from one place to another, because we know this is very time consuming, it's expensive, sanitization after every move. So I think the trend will be to keep the person as much as you can in one place, in order to reduce your costs and try to get in their break-even point that you wish to reach now after this COVID. So these are my 3 points that I want to mention in short time.
Thank you. Over to you, Jean-Guy.
Thank you, Sammy. Thank you, Mark. Wow, maybe not the right word, but yes, we need to make sure it is safe for people to go back. It is meaningful also for people to go back. Yes, there will be hygiene services that will be required first, but massage is definitely the bread and butter, and facial also is definitely where the high margins are related to products and product recommendation. Edward, I'd like to get back to you because for many years you founded and ran a school educating thousands of professionals in Singapore, and now you're the president of the Spa and Wellness Association in Singapore. How will you emphasize the physiological benefits of your treatments to boost immune system? You did mention something when we were preparing about a herbal pack. Can you elaborate on that? And then Igo, we'll turn to you about the things you're organizing at Glen Health Springs. Edward?
Yes, the concept is not new. I mean, the heated pads are used for a long time, maybe 20, 30 years. But I thought, you know, using the idea during this period is very important because number one, clients needs relaxation. So a heated pad or multiple heated pads would provide a form of relaxation for the client. Number two, heat control viruses. You know, we heat it up to about 60 degrees before we apply on the client. Depending on the tolerance, we may use a towel or not. And then we put in very special ingredients, spices and herbs that has known antivirus, relaxation, revitalization properties, depending on the clients. So the pad is being wrapped in a cotton envelope or like a pillowcase, whereby we will change the pillowcase after every client. We heat up the elements in a microwave oven, so for 3 minutes. So virtually it kills whatever viruses or germs. Most of them anyway. In the 3 minutes heating up, and so far. Those who have tested it find it very comforting, and also is very practical. It's not expensive. We invested about $500 US to make 50 of these pads. So it's quite practical, inexpensive, and fun to play with. It enhances the value of the treatment. It's free, so clients can have it for free, and then we just give them 2-3 pats on the back when they lie down, relax before we start the massage.
Thank you, Edward. Thank you. It is definitely echoing the recommendations of previous panelists that said, in order to avoid discounts, in order to avoid lowering prices, we should add value, and definitely adding meaningful value with physiological ons. It definitely makes sense. Ingo, on the first day, on Tuesday, Charles Davidson and Mark Hennebury, Mark Cohen, and Tom Bauer from the Hot Springs Initiative, people of your tribe, because you are also a member of the Hot Springs Initiative, did mention that they are turning their Hot Springs facilities into education, information, inspiration, to really help their guests to feel safe, but also to feel empowered to become their best health advisor, health managers. How are you implementing this post-COVID situation at Glen Ivy?
Glen Ivy is, like our friends in the Hot Spring Initiative, is a large facility. We intend to open back on June 15th, perhaps July 1st. we stood in touch with everybody through a wide variety of educational classes, dedicated videos from a professional chef from Sheikh Maktoum Nutrition, Professor Mark Cohen, Kiki Stensgrad, so fitness, nutrition, hot springs. So education was the key component to stay in touch with our clients throughout the entire time. And what we're going to do when our clients come back now, which we know normally, as you know, you've been there, we have like 1,000 to 1,200 guests during most of the summer and fall period. We're only going to take in 350. And we're going to deliver a lot of add-ons, a lot of service touch points, like you can reserve dedicated lounges, you can pre-order your food. We have butlers to serve your food right away on your lounge. In order to simply, while we don't have the volume, give you a far superior experience and ensuring that we're going to take care of them and continue to outperform ourselves there. In addition to that, we have hired actually 6 different instructors, full-time instructors who will do nothing else than holding on a daily basis a wide variety of yoga, water aerobic, nutrition, painting, and related classes, again, to offer value for clients in order to learn body-mind balancing environment, to physically exercise, to understand more about nutrition and things like this. So many different touch points, many different initiatives, better service, more dedicated service, substantially less people, lots of educational classes, and making sure that everybody goes home with a better sense from themselves and a better sense of what to do in this kind of difficult environment and how to boost one's immune system and related.
Thank you. Thank you, Ingo. Definitely, it's about the time of going back to the why. Why are we open? Why do we serve? How can we serve better? And going back to the added value. But there's also a big question behind the why. When? When is it safe to open? And not just on a hygiene perspective, but on a financial perspective. And I'd like to ask Janet, do you feel it is safe to reopen as soon as local regulations allow it? Because right now in France, we are allowed the businesses are allowed to reopen since a few days ago, since Monday. But not all of the salons and spas are open. Some are waiting it out to see how the public, how the guests are responding. What is going to be your response to that?
Yes, in Malaysia, we were told that our industry will probably be the last one to be open by the government. So a lot of us, there is a lot of quite a mixture sentiment, I would say, over here. Some of our association members who are very eager to open as soon as they can. And but the other half share their concern on how many spas really follow the SOP strictly. So in Malaysia, our spa wellness centers, which belongs to the members of the association, have been rated by the Ministry of Tourism. So with that, most of our members will definitely operate with the required standards that meet the stringent rating of the criteria set by the ministry. And so we will not be worried about that. However, the smaller operators and the reflexology centers that are not rated by the ministry, that will be our biggest concern. So that's why, given the tactile nature of the treatments, customers really need time to be confident, right, to visit the spa and the wellness center again. So our main concern now is that if any occurrence of the infection happen in any of the spa, then it would definitely make it harder for us to for the industry to recover. And then on top of that, there is a clause from our government directive stated that should any of our spas or any of our employers contracted the virus, we are liable to cover their medical fees, their close contact quarantine fee, and even their house disinfected fee. So that clause will, of course, definitely make us to think before we reopen. And we also must consider our ability, whether we can protect our customers and our employees, and to ensure that our SOP are in good order and also in strictly hired by the employees, right? So I think at the end of the day, it's still the choice of the each spa owners, whether they want to open or they want to close after the CMCO is uplifted. So due to this high risk of infection for staff and customer, I think there will be some who will open immediately and there may be some who may not open. That's my view.
Thank you. Neil, in Hong Kong, is it safe to reopen right away or not? And if so, will prices increase?
Firstly, I do not believe prices will increase. There's too much competition and too many people desperate to make some revenue. So the bigger risk is that prices will fall, actually, not increase. In terms of to reopen or not, so from a safety perspective, I think other panelists have already covered that. I don't have too much to add because I agree with all of the scenarios. And clearly, if there's a cluster in a spa, it affects the whole industry, as we've seen happening in bars and various other industries around the world. But the economics of opening is one that I do have quite a strong opinion on, because we had to be open during March when the business wasn't there. We were hemorrhaging money. We were at about 60% down on our normal turnover. So we were hemorrhaging money. It was a blessing in disguise when the government shut us down, because only when we shut down did the landlords really come to the table and start to be fair. The therapists, our team, were super supportive. They all went on no paid leave, and I was able to cut about 90% of my fixed costs. So although I was still losing money, I wasn't losing anywhere near as much money. And one of our attendees, Hannah, she asked a question about how long this pent-up demand will last for, that I mentioned last time. And the answer is, of course, I don't know. I don't know what the new normal is. But one thing I am absolutely doing is trying to remain flexible here. So I'm in very regular contact with my landlords. I'm saying, I'm open book. I'm saying, look, this is what we're making. This isn't about making money. This is about surviving. So I'm just saying, look, you need me to stay there, because if I go bust, nobody else is going to spend $500,000, $1 million fitting out this space. So you need me to stay there, and I need to make sure I don't lose money. And if I need to close temporarily, or you need to give me free or whatever, we need to be open. So I think this question about when do I open, you need to do it in conjunction with speaking with your landlords and getting your suppliers to work with you. Because if you open all out with a full team, after the pent-up demand, you could end up losing money again. And that's the reality for the rest of the
And Neil, have you had a fair reception from your landlords, as far as you're happy to admit? What's the reception been like from the landlord?
It's been extremely supportive. Without the landlords and without the support of the team, we'd be bankrupt.
Okay,
we'd be closed.
And what about in Hong Kong? As you know, in the business rates, have they been supportive, or aren't those business rates so high? You know, like property tax that businesses have to pay.
They're normally wrapped up in the rents.
Okay.
Not an issue.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Edward, because this question about rising prices or not, most of you and most of the other panelists in the previous days have said, no, we will not increase prices. However, we will increase value with add-ons in order to justify not lowering the prices, because Dubai will definitely see so many discounts and packages, and after the health pandemic that we've had, we will have a recession. Possibly that will choke lots of businesses. So is it financially sustainable, Edward, and then Ingo, to reopen, knowing that social distancing or physical distancing will cap operations probably to a 50% capacity? Edward, what's the take in Singapore, and then Ingo, with your view on the world, Ingo, not just Glen Ivy Hot Springs?
Well, Singapore has closed. Singapore has closed for almost 2 months. So we closed down all the businesses on the 5th of April and were not open until the 1st of June. So in fact, there are a lot of customers who are waiting for spas and salons to be open. And of course, businesses are desperate to open because 2 months there's no income. Also, workers who has been on leave for 2 months are getting restless. So we do intend to open as soon as possible, but of course, with safety in mind. So the Singapore government is in control. So unless they say you are safe to open, we will not open, of course. So once we open, of course, we have to try and get in not only our existing customers who are waiting for service, but also new customers. And everybody is opening at the same time with the challenge of a poor economy. Not only the spa business is affected, every other business is affected. So everybody else is looking at how to save money. So if you increase prices, it is not easy to do business. So we don't intend to increase prices. What we intend to do is we have stopped hiring new employees. So if anybody leaves during this period, we are not going to replace them. We'll try to make use of all the existing employees, spread them out and to do different things. So in my case, I have started a new business with e-commerce. We're introducing a new product, a new beauty dietary supplement product that we are selling to the customers, old and new customers. So, you know, you have to find new businesses that can supplement your existing service business. So by the combination of your existing service business plus the new business, you hope you can make use of all the people, resources that you have to increase your revenue, but not increasing your prices to increase revenue. That's my answer.
Okay, thank you, Edward. In the session that we're going to have later on about reopening strategies for Europe, a lot of our panelists are going to touch on how much, evaluating how much it's going to cost to implement all of the PPE, sanitation, hydroalcoholic gels, the changing of the uniforms, all those safety and sanitation measures, they're going to add a cost per guest, per treatment. This is why Sammy's suggestion earlier on to have guests stay in the treatment room for longer, to have multiple treatments on the same equipment is absolutely valid. Ingo, I'd like you to answer the next question with two hats. One from Glen Ivy Hot Springs, one from Orvarth. How is it going to be sustainable for spas to resume operations with a 50% occupancy capping in their operations?
I think it depends where you are in the world. I read last night a very good article or research documentation from McKinsey. They analyzed the markets which are open, and they clearly identified, and they also look into the future for the Chinese traveler, which is the most prominent traveler around the world right now. It's going to be regional travel for drive-through or flying 1-2 hours, but not flying 15 hours. Therefore, the spas which are in hotels, and it doesn't matter where they are, they will have to wait because hotels are closing still today, and they're going to open much later than the close by nearby facilities. If you look at here, Thailand, the biggest hotel company in Thailand is Minor. Minor has 540 hotels and they only 8 are open. This means they have a lot of vacancies, and that will only slowly, when they can open up the market, that will come back. Look at our Greece hotel. Greece has done a very good job with containing the virus. They are debating, can they open July 15th or August 1st? Well, that's the end of the season in Greece. So it depends where you are, it depends where your business is located, like Bill just alerted to. Glen Ivy has visitors from a 2-hour radius. They drive there. We get an average of around 500 to 540 messages a week, and most of them are questioning when we are reopening. So because there is this pent-up demand and people want to go out, hang in the hot springs and so on and so forth. So it depends where you are, it depends where your business is located, it depends where you are in the curve and where your country is in the curve. It will determine how fast you can open. But the costs are going to be higher. The costs are going to be between 10, 15, 20% higher. This means you can only overcome that if you offer a service which is superior to the one you have offered before, in order to compete on best practices and the good service platform, but and also then to charge the right kind of prices. Yeah, so that kind of rounds it up worldwide, and really, Jungi, every market is different there, right? I mean, the markets in China are open up already. You know, the market in Taiwan is open up already, right? Right now, the market in California, the governor tells us that only one person can come into the pool, and you have to have 2-meter distance to do anything there. So it depends on where you are. There will be different applications, but for sure, it will all cost us more to operate. So we have to compete through quality, education, and value propositions.
Thank you, Ingo. I'm conscious of time, and we may need to close in 25 minutes. So we are going to take questions, and we have one that Jeanette is going to answer in a second about what about facials? Is it safe to do facials? Do you have to wear a protection, a mask, shield? And maybe I'll ask Sammy also a question about high tech, high touch, and the possibilities. But before that, and just to close on that question about cost, a sneak preview from the session later on today, agreed with you, Ingo, depending on the facilities, the level of safety measures that will be stacked on top of each other, the safe packages that Jeanette is going to also introduce at Jerry Spas, where each guest is going to receive a mask, a gel, things like this. The price, the additional cost of treatment could increase from 10 to 20%, which means net revenue is definitely going to decrease. So if any of you are listening to this panel on any platform, whether Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, it is still time for you to join us on Zoom. All you have to do is go to the Facebook page of your closest professional beauty site, whether UK, India, South Africa, Dubai, GCC. There'll be a link for you to connect and to enter to register and to enter the Zoom so that you can also ask your question. But first question, Jeanette, how will you manage to offer facials in a safe way for the guest and for the therapist?
From my personal point of view, I think probably what is important is that we have the PPE equipments with us. The most important thing is the spa therapists actually have a shield, a face shield where they can cover their face. So I think that would also help to enhance the facials and to protect the customer at the same time, also the spa therapist. And also because nowadays there's a lot of technology that uses equipment, right, to do facial. So it's not so much on direct touch, but it's on low touch. So I think that would also help the facial part to have a more safety net to do facial at the same time. Yeah.
Okay. Sammy, would you like to comment on this with all the equipment that you offer with Gabriac Group? whether for spas, for salons, for advanced aesthetics? How is it safe to do that?
So it's very important to really see that we are treating different parts of the body. If we work on the feet, it's different protection than if we work on the face or on massage. We talked already, I think, a lot of times about massage and facial. I didn't follow all the sessions, but I think it's something it was not talked about. The thing we are talking about, social distancing, keep distance, and facial is very close. So, and it's really the most, I think, dangerous part, because if you work on pedicure, you are far away from the guest, you need your mask, etc. that work. So we have something that people ask us if you can create a shield to protect. There are shields that you can wear on the mask, and then you can turn your face around and left. We designed a plexiglass protection between both. This is, to me, it's more aesthetics than really functional. You have to be careful not to exaggerate, you know. So I think if you do it right, you protect yourself with the mask and the shield, and the guest should wear the mask. I think you cannot do more than that. My recommendation: we are not in a hospital environment. We are in the beauty environment. Wear above your mask some fashion mask. Try to hide it a little, and even without making it less safe. Because if you arrive with this bluish one, you kind of scary people. We all know that from the other medical environment. Then you don't want to. What we did all our best to get the spa far away from the medical environment, and now we are obliged to bring these instruments, the PPEs, that we have to change them in a fashion way. This is my point of view. So if you ask me,
Sammy.
Sorry?
Thank you. And you're right about the mask. Yes, there is the medical grade mask that you can wear, but also Noel Asmar, based in Canada, is producing special masks for spas and salons. Debbie, also Leon from Fashionizer, is producing them. And I have to recognize, thank you, Sammy, for being the gold sponsor of this session, but also next to me, there are also other logos of Biologique Recherche and Lemmy, and sneak preview on the next session about answers from Europe. You mentioned a shield, Sammy, and there is also such a solution called as the Spa Shield that Matteo Puseferi from Lemmy is also going to introduce. Yeah,
we're not. Sammy, tell me though, elaborate on the point. I was quite interested because on a general thing of your business, you had said, share the story, because I think I know most of our audience, of course, run spas, they're not suppliers, but I think they will be heartened to know that the level of bookings you've had in the last couple of weeks. Would you share a bit of that? Because you were saying it was absolutely dire and now it's almost been the best. Would you share that?
I think first, thank you, Mark. I think it impressed you what I told you, but just a reminder, I started my business 91, which is 29 years. And I can tell that I know, I think a lot about the industry. And when I started with 91, people told me, Sammy, are you crazy? It was a recession, bank recession problems. This is the worst time you can start your business. Why I'm mentioning it? Because we are, again, it's like a cycle. We had this 2008, and now we are with another. So there will be an up, we all know. The question is, again, we start in a difficult time, getting better. I was surprised because now going back to what I told Mark, it was 2 weeks like paralyzed. I think all the world was paralyzed. No one was, it was scaring. No phone calls, nothing. And suddenly people get back to their normal life. So long-term projects that requires budgets, these are going on, and in all over the world. By the way, if I'm thinking about Asia, the biggest one for the last 2 weeks was Macau, Bangkok, and Australia. It's not really Asia, but if you see it from here, it's close to that part of the world. So we see that long-term projects are there. You cannot stop doing that. You have to adjust after your parameters, definitely. When I go to Europe, our major business in Europe, it's about day spas, smaller businesses in all over Europe, mainly for sure Germany, Benelux, France, and all the countries that already started to open. I was surprised 2 weeks ago, I'm calling my team, because in Germany, we never did a lockdown. I think Germany kind of tried to find a solution in between, which seems to work better than others. So it's, they are buying, people are telling us, we need a new table, we need this new, we need to, it's time now to renew and to be better than my competitor and faster. So it's wrong to say wait until the others, because if you wait, the other will pass you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jean. I brought that in because I think people need to know that if people are booking high-end equipment, it must mean that there is hope for all of us who are still under lockdown. Over to you, Jean-Guy.
Thank you, Mark. And as we are nearing, maybe we will see one or two last questions, but there were lots of questions about facials, about massage with gloves. So it was very technical or oriented. With 10 or 15 more minutes to go, Jeanette, I'd like to turn to you because I'd like to also open up on an optimistic note. When we were preparing, you mentioned your attitude becomes the most single factor in commencing any climb. Can you elaborate on the story you've heard from that person with mountain climbing and facing adversity? If you can unmute yourself.
Yes, it was a very interesting sharing from a friend in the Facebook. Basically, what I learned from him is in order to stay positive, we need to do what we can to uplift one another, and at the same time by helping to build social resilience in our interaction with each other. So we should pay attention to each other with genuine interest, and then being there, being present and responsive to one another. So I think that is caring comes in as well, and also to help to look at another one person's perspective. Yeah. Importantly, we are here to encourage each other and sharing mutual respect and value. So what is important is our attitude, where we becomes the single most important factor in commencing any climb. I'm an avid mountain climber, and this friend of mine is also an avid mountain climber. So as we climb on the mountain, we always say next steps, right? Which carry us through. So don't stop, my friend. Just take next step and take next step and take next step and take next step. And there we can plant today and harvest tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. And it's true, it's plant today, but also plant today and harvest tomorrow, as you did mention with this. Ingo, I'd like to turn to you, and then we'll ask Neil also his take on this. So many times as an owner, as a managing director, there are strategic decisions you want to make. There are strategic turns you want to make in your business, but business is going on and on and on, and it's hard to find the right moment, the right momentum to do that. Maybe in a time of crisis, that's the time to do drastic changes. What are you implementing and at Glen Ivy, and maybe recommending also to other properties you're managing, maybe Dios Cove in Greece?
You need to analyze your business in the time of crisis. And you need to look of how to be more efficient, more agile, how to be out of the box, and how to anticipate what the clients truly want. In Glen Ivy, the mantra was very clearly, we want to move more and more towards not only hot springs, but dedicated wellness programs. We are in the middle of an entitlement for an additional wellness hotel on site. Therefore, the hiring of additional manpower in the area of teaching, education was of importance. We made another substantial change in the area of nutrition. We will come up with an entire new nutrition program, because I believe, in particular in North America, where food often is kind of consumed on the go and a little bit not as, there's too much fast food. I mean, net, there's too much fast food. Let's not beat around the bush. We will totally enhance our food program towards a different nutrition aspect. And the third one was simply, I mean, we brought down Glen Ivy from 1,500 people to around 1,000, 2,200 people. And now we're going to go to 800-900 people to simply uplift the entire service platform to an ever more sophisticated level. And what we can see that the guests actually are with us. We have more and more pre-booking, so we can plan this substantially better. We still have around 220,000 guests there, so that's good. In terms of Diascope, we do something very different. We are expanding and doubling actually the space at Diascope. We are doubling the facilities. We're going to go into more integrative concepts there. We offer from vitamin infusions to colonics, to counseling, to spiritual techniques, to a yoga program. So we're doubling the space there because clearly everybody in Greece has a beautiful hotel, has great food, has a beautiful beach, but and we're running at 75% occupancy. So how can we compete? And simply the message was, let's go further into dedicated wellness programs there in order to ensure that we're gonna partake in the growth of wellness at large there. So different techniques in different parts of the world. Look at your business, analyze your business, see where you want to go into the future and drive your business in that direction with very strategic changes on the manpower front, on the physical front, and on the investment front.
Thank you, Ingo. Neil, any strategic changes you recommend doing in this time of crisis? Because since we're facing the crisis, might as well not waste a crisis to make changes and adapt. Are we going back to an old normal or moving forward?
I'm going to give a little bit of a different answer because I could answer this as a spa owner or I could answer this as an entrepreneur. And I'm going to do the latter because the reality is that right now is a difficult time for the spa industry and there's certain things that we can do. And of course there are opportunities. But as an entrepreneur, I see far more opportunities because there are many, let's just say, market anomalies that we can get involved with here. So for example, in the last 2 months, I've set up a new company purely trading PPE. So I'm involved in masks, ventilators, test kits, protective gowns, and I've set up a whole supply chain out of Asia and selling into the US and South America and into the UK. So that's something that is not related to the spas, but as an entrepreneur, it's an opportunity and it's a pivot. And I think what's interesting is that 90% of the people doing this will fall out of the market when the margins disappear. But I'm looking at this as a long term, and there will be crossover with the spa and the wellness sector here because of the products that I'm dealing with. So, and the people that I'm connecting with. I mean, I'm going to write a book on this. It's just been a crazy ride the last months, but very, very interesting. So I think there are big strategic opportunities. I mean, one of the things we're looking at for the spas is obviously many spas are going bust. So can we pick up existing spas that are already fitted out without having to spend any money on the fit out and renegotiate the rents and take over good locations? Now, we haven't done that yet, but that's something we're looking at. It could be a good opportunity to expand because the last real expansion we had was during the financial crisis because that was the opportunity. And now that opportunity is there as well. But I don't look at the opportunity just as a spa operator. And I think for anybody who runs their own business, you've got to be a little bit more inclusive and think, what else is there out there that I can do to my knowledge to try and expand my footprint and not just stick with spas.
Thank you. It's time really to conclude in a few minutes, and I would love to hear from Sammy's takeaways from that. But just before that, last word to Edward. You mentioned in our preparation that for you, one of the main things we need to focus on is making employees our business partners. Can you, in just 1 minute, elaborate on this, and then we'll hear it from Sammy and Mark for the closing of this session. Edward, you're on mute.
I mentioned earlier that we are opening the spa with the introduction of a new product, a dietary supplement to enhance beauty. It's a new concept, is something that complements our existing business. And instead of cutting down staff or cutting their salaries, we tell the staff, hey, look, we have this new business. We give you a share of revenue, if you promote the business. So virtually they become our business partners to promote our new business. So I don't have extra costs because they are already paid for. I just use existing staff and give them a business opportunity to embark on so that they can enhance their income while enhancing the income of the company. So that's what this is. And I think many spas or salons can do that.
Thank you, Edward. Mark, over to you and Sammy.
I'll close up. Sammy, you want to say a few words, please?
Yes, a few words. I think we've been talking about high-tech, high-touch, and I think I have a new slogan for our industry, which is high-tech, high-touch, hygiene. Take these 3 words. It's very important. They belong together. Secondly, technologies are more than required than in the past. All aspects of the operations in digital and in physical. The third thing is don't be afraid to go for it before others will win the game. So be safe, be successful. That's it.
Thank you. Unfortunately, ladies, gentlemen, we have to wrap up this panel. Thank you for your contribution. I hope it's been valuable to our audience. From seeing so many panelists the last few days and generally in contact with the industry, I take an element of many of us do not know what the future will hold. We clearly don't. There are all sorts of predictions, but as Neil said, communication is key with one's staff and one's customers. People will accept a lot if you're clear and you're honest, even if you have to make extremely tough decisions. And flexibility. And this lockdown has given many of us as entrepreneurs the opportunity to look and reset the business, even if we don't know what or many of us don't know what the route out will be. Gentlemen, ladies, Jean-Guy, thank you very much for your contribution. Next session literally is in 20 minutes, 10:30 UK time. All the best to you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.